Our film begins with a plane passing over the Arabian Sea, and the pilot tries to land on a marine ship, but there is a problem with the balance of the plane and it is on its way to fall, so the current decides in that it descends quickly using the parachute, and then the plane falls on the ship and explodes. At this time, a rescue ship arrives, but they find that the plane fell into the water and died, and a big explosion occurs in the sea. And the whole rescue ship is destroyed, everyone on it will die. Then we see another ship coming to investigate what happened, and a soldier from the ship goes to the commander and tells him that there are indications of huge earthquakes that will occur in the coming hours in the Arabian Sea. So the commander replies to him and tells him that they must inform the surrounding countries so that they can quickly take their guesses, and as long as they are not talking, there will be another explosion next to each other. The ship and it will be so severe that the ship tilts, and it begins to sink. And everything they have to do is try to escape, but they fail and everyone on the ship dies, and we go to Egypt, specifically at the pyramids area, and there will be a tourist group, and with them the guide who shows them the pyramids, and he tells them the history of pharaonic Egypt, and how the pyramids were adopted, and among this cohort, there will be an American woman consisting of a father and 2 children, and the father will be called Jack, and the daughter will be called Amber, and the boy will be called, and we know that their mother came with them to Egypt, but she had work to do today at the hotel where they were staying, and I won't take a tour inside the pyramid. Amber flopped in a Jordanian guy, and we know that his name is Tariq, and he notes that Amber has a book that talks about the pyramids, and he knows that she is very interested in history, so the two stop talking for a while, and then 2 guards come and tell Tariq that they must move now, and they take him with them. After a while, the round ends, the family returns to the hotel. There, Diane is waiting for them, and she is very happy, and this is because she met a great pottery dealer and agreed with him that he would export her work to America, and she would sell it there. The 4 decide to go to a restaurant and celebrate, but suddenly a strong earthquake occurs and the hotel begins to fall on them. He quickly takes his jacket and they leave the hotel, and they notice that most of the buildings around them are falling, and many people die, and Amber sees a group of injured young men, so she consulted her father to help them. And Jacques and Pings are one of them, and the one who is Tariq, whom they met in the morning. But he did not catch up with the rest, and this is because the building in it starts to fall. And then the whole family runs quickly to hide anywhere and take. Tariq is with them, but Jack notices that most of the buildings around them have been destroyed, and he is very afraid for his family. He decides to take them and return to the hotel, but they stop the security and say that the building could fall at any time. A little later, Jack learns from the TV that there are earthquakes that occur on a large scale, and that the Arabian Peninsula has moved from its place. At this time, an Arab car is passing by, and the man on the microphone warns every tourist that he will go to his embassy, and they will act. Tariq says that they are lying to try to pacify the people, nothing more, and this is because the American embassy building also collapsed. Jack gets very frustrated and doesn't know how to act. And he knows the road through the news that in certain areas the danger will remain more severe. He also knows that these areas at the time of Morocco will have snow and the temperature will remain unbearable, because of the big change that happens in the weather, and the area they are in now will be among these areas, and Asana they are looking for a solution. It is raining heavily and the temperature is dropping. They know that the bulletin's predictions are real, and they must run away quickly. They looked at any airport in a remote area, because they still haven't been captured and they can travel to America through it, and they actually find an airport and stop a ferry car next to them to get them there. And Tariq is still with them, and on their way to the airport. The rain starts to turn into slew and the world gets colder, so she looks out for the jackets that she has in the bag, and they wear all the clothes that they have with them. We see an Arab driver trying to communicate with his family, but he can't find a network. And the road in front of him remains standing, so he decides to go down and leave the car to check on his family, and at this time they are close to the airport too, so Jack takes his family, Tariq, to complete the road on their feet. As soon as they got out of the car, they saw a plane coming from far away, and it landed next to them and exploded. They know that even this airport is now not safe, and the family prefers to walk on its feet, until they find Qatar station in front of them, and the train remains standing on the station and is about to move, so they run quickly to catch him, as soon as they are riding. The tow cars begin to fall apart due to the force of the ice around them, and at this time, they will fall from the country. The rest of the family goes down to see him to check on him, and then they start looking for another solution to the farthest place before sunset, and Tariq succeeds in communicating with his father again, despite the bad network, and he tells them that his father will send a means of transportation to take them. A little later, a plane will come to them, and you save them. So the family is surprised by what is happening, and they ask Tariq, who exactly is he, to follow him a private plane. So Tariq replies to them and says that his father is the Minister of Defense in Jordan, as long as they are on the plane. Another severe storm will occur, and the engine freezes, and the pilot and his co-pilot say that the storm is beyond the ability of the plane, and they must come down now, and they ordered them to go back to their places because the landing would be strong, and the current is trying to come down with the least losses. And he really succeeds in bringing them down, but he goes down over an ice area. So they get out of the plane quickly before the heavy weight breaks the ice beneath them. They kept running until they met 4 Egyptians on their way to a nearby evacuation area, but Jack remains afraid that he will take risks while he is with his family, so they reassured the current with them and told him that he was really in the area. Evacuations close to them are located in the temperate zone at the Red Sea, and they know that they walked the distance by plane, and there is not much left. So they hear the words of the pilot. They prefer to walk on the road, he said, and after a while, a camel farm appears in front of them, and they know that all those working in it fled because of the weather, and there is nothing left but a few camels and some blankets, so they decide that they ride these camels in order to save their energy, and they keep walking a little bit, and Dylan notices that there is a flowery thing in front of them, and he thinks that it is just a mere mirage from the air, so he descends from the camel to explore it, but it turns out that this pyramid is after it was covered with snow, so Dylan slides on it and falls on the other side, and Yako runs and throws himself over the pyramid, he also to check on it, and he knows that it is good in what happened. And then Jack does not find any way to return to the rest of the group. So he tells them that they leave the beauty and count from above the same pyramid, then they continue walking on the eastern path. Indeed, they all go down and gather again. And then the current notices the presence of walls from his plane next to them, and he understands that they have returned again to the same place. The group talks to find a solution, and they are surprised by 2 cars coming towards them, and an Arab man descends from Arabia, and he tells them that he saw their plane fall. Come to help them. They are happy that they have found a place to rest for a while. Then they divide themselves into 2 groups, and they ride in cars, and the man takes them to a place. There they encounter a group of people who are trying to find shelter from the time of the first earthquake, and Dylan is hungry. So the leader of the group gave him food from what he had collected from the destroyed villages in the area around them. At this time, Jack tells everyone present that this place is not safe, and they are at the time of Morocco, the temperature will remain unbearable. People mock his words. This is because there is no evidence for this, and Jack decides to leave them alone. But he asks the commander to take a few cars from those with them to take them to an area, and the commander agrees, and I give them 3 cars. Jack thanks him very much and tells him that without him, their time would have died now. And Jack gathers his family and the rest of the people who accepted them after they got off the plane, and they divide them into 3 cars and they move. In the first, the atmosphere remains stable, but suddenly, huge snowballs begin to fall, which they try to avoid. However, they do not succeed, and the car in which Jack and Tariq is in turns, so the rest of the group goes down to check on them. And then they divide themselves into 2 remaining cars, and they move. And we know that Amber was injured in her arm and she can't move it. Tariq ties her arm with his shawl until they are able to treat her, and they keep walking, noticing that there are many lights in front of them, but the storm will be tropical, and I suspect that it is capturing the currents of the evacuations, and that this is the evacuation area. And as they are not talking, Dylan notices that they are on the edge of a sloping area, and that if they had continued, they would have fallen and died, and we see one of them opening the map on his mobile and knowing that the one in front of them is the evacuation area, and that he is supposed to be on a bridge to reach it. But it was often caused by storms, thus, the evacuation area will be in front of them. But they will not reach it. He suggests that they use the ropes they have and fix them in the car and go down the slope. And Jack is happy he has a smart son like this and thanks him, and they actually tie the rope in the Arabic language to insult him. And they start going down one by one, and it comes to the role of Amber and she faces difficulty because of her armor, but she succeeds and reaches the rest of the group, and then you go to a religion to get off, but the car starts to slide because of the snow. They are trying to slander her with pieces of ice, but they fail. Suddenly, the cart slides off the mountain, falls on the stream, and dies. And another person named Simon is still on top of the mountain. Simon used another car with them, and they keep looking for any circuitous road until they actually find one and go down to the rest of the group. There they find many parked cars, and they are shocked when they find people dead because of the cold, and then they look for an empty car, and they take the largest car and ride in it all, and they keep walking in the direction of the lights. They saw it. To some extent, the Arabic stitches them because of the depth of the ice, so they complete the path on their feet. In front of them will be a huge building, and when they get close, they discover that it is a dam. So Tariq says that the evacuation is at the Red Sea, and the one behind this dam is along Asana. They are not thinking that they will continue this road, how the dam will begin to collapse, so each group of them runs in the direction, and Dan and her son enter a phosphate mine, and they don't see any exit in front of them. Dylan thinks he learned in his game before, if he blows solid in the direction that goes in the air, this is the direction of the exit, and they actually arrive at the exit, and they meet the rest of the group, and they continue walking, but Ampere's case prefers to shop, and very tired, and it takes a while, and close to sunset, and they find themselves against the wind to the point that the air pushes them behind, so one of them decides that he resists the air and walks in front of them to encourage them to continue, but the force of the wind blows him and he falls and dies. The rest of the group gets scared and runs to a safe place to hide before they freeze, and the mother suggests that they return to the mine again. This is because it is the warmest place they have so far, and they reach there. Amber feels warm, and then you will find Mie waterfalls. So you ask them to come down there, and let themselves go in the direction of the pilot, and then the planes take them to different places, and after they gather that Dylan has disappeared. At the same time, they met an exit in front of them. On the shore of the Red Sea, there will be police rescuers, medics, and many ships, and that's how they reach the moderate zone. And as for what they are looking for, Dylan, Jack gets tired and faints. So the paramedics run on them and try to outrun him, and Dylan returns, and then along Jack begins to outgrow, and Dylan tells them that Tariq's father sent his rescue squad, and they are the ones who got him out of the water. Tariq says that the time when the earthquakes began, his father was at sea. Since then, he and the people with him began to take people off the beaches. The family finally reunites, and Jack is happy that he hasn't lost any of his family despite all that they have done to him. And don't forget to subscribe to the Ladybug Synopsis channel.